they go in weekly. And we still have our 2 hours of enrichment at the end of the day. At the moment, because of the current setup, sometimes enrichment may be in bed throughout the day and maybe part of their exercises that they're doing throughout the day. So we have the extra hour to catch up on any work that we've missed by having the little exercise boosters throughout the day.
Me, it is. Hi everyone, good afternoon. I'm Mr. Parkinson, for those that you don't know, and I'm just going to talk about the timings, drop off and pick up at school. So 7:45 is registration, so please get the children in before 7:45. Doors are open at 7:25, so anything before 7:45 would be brilliant. Probably a little bit before that so they can come in, they can be ready for their first lesson at 7:50. 3 p.m. is the end of the day. Pickup is at 3 p.m. as well, so there's no late drop-offs, there's no late rooms, no late collections either.
Hi everybody at home, hi parents. So I'm going to talk about the attendance. So at GEMS, the academy, we need to make sure that we have a minimum of 96% attendance. So ideally we want the children to be coming to school every day, but obviously they might get sick occasionally. So please, if they are being sick, especially at the moment, do not send your child to school if he or she has a fever or a cold or flu-like symptoms. The best thing to do is to keep them at home, just monitor them, and then you can just make sure you please contact the teachers as well, your class teacher, and you can also email the administration downstairs that you need to make sure you do that, and that is on absence_work@gemsedu.com. It's just on the screen there. And if you have any requests for leave, please also email the same email.
On to our uniform. This hasn't changed from last year, but obviously some of the children have grown, well, lots of them have grown, so making sure their uniform fits them. We have the shirt, the tie colour needs to be the colour of their house, shorts, skirt, black shoes, white socks or navy socks or black socks. And then obviously at school we set very high standards of those uniforms. So as children, their shirt should always be tucked in, top button fastened, hair tied back. And it also said watches are allowed, so I would encourage that as well, especially in maths as well, so that'd be helpful. Girls may wear one small stud in each earlobe. They should be removed for PE, and on PE days they should come into school in their uniform, which they've been doing, and they would wear that uniform all day. Their PE uniform consists of their house colours, white socks and trainers. And obviously, please make sure everything is labelled. When students bring in jumpers, they need to be kept in their bags as well. And when we do go outside eventually, it's essential to bring a hat for outdoor play. I think that's everything.
Okay, for those of you that don't know me, hi, I'm Mr. Lucas. I'm going to have a little chat with you about breaks and lunches. So it is one of those areas, obviously, with our current situation that have changed. As you can imagine, food will be eaten in our classes, lunch and break will be taken at the children's desk for obvious reasons. We are encouraging, obviously, people to bring in their own lunches. However, as you can see on there, if you contact Steph, Slices, our provider, are still doing healthy alternatives for the children, which will be delivered up to the classrooms. As always, we always encourage healthy snacks for either for snack or for lunchtime, and obviously with everything going on. This is the fourth bullet point is quite a big one we want to emphasize. Obviously, we are unable at this point to be giving out water, and we don't have the water dispensers anywhere in the school. So children will have to bring their amount of water they need for the day, for the whole day. So especially when we have, I believe it's Tuesday and Wednesdays for all of year 4 for PE, just make sure on those days they have extra water with them, because they will still be obviously doing those sessions. We are a no nut school, obviously no pork and no nuts. And for those parents, if you have any children or any of our new starts especially, can you report those allergies as soon as possible to us directly? Again, for obvious reasons. I think it's Miss Lynch next.
Sorry, I'm just going to butt in here because I've been around school the last 2 weeks. If you are ordering from Slices, the children usually just used to top up money on their card, go down and just choose whatever they wanted to eat for lunch. However, it is different now. You do have to pre-order your food. The children can't just have money on their card and go down to the canteen as it's closed. So if you do want to order from Slices, please make sure that you email Miss Foster and she will give you the information which is already on P6 about how to pre-order your food.
So the behaviour system is consistent throughout the school. So you have children in the year groups, or you were here last year, you probably know a lot about it already. We have the traffic light system in classes, which is the green, the amber and the red. All children will start at green at the start of the day, and only if they do something that they're not meant to be doing, they will be moved down to the amber and then to the red. They are given a warning first, and it is last resort to try to move the children down. We are trying to encourage positive behaviour and trying to keep them on the red, so it is last resort. If they get to the red, it could be, obviously in the current situation, something like if the children are doing, I don't know, they get to go on an educational app for 5 minutes, maybe that child needs to do some work on their whiteboard for that 5 minutes. The class dojos and the house points are linked together. So dojos are for anything the children do that is positive, so it's for a reward if they answer questions, effort put into work, and then it's linked to their houses, so if they're ruby or emerald, the dojo points goes to their house. Every week there is a leaderboard for primary and then for secondary, and then there's also a combined one so children can see how their house points are helping the school. And then we still have the weekly certificates, which are linked to the WEC Learner Flower. So it could be for reflective learning, for being a risk taker, and all the different points on the WEC Flower. The children will all get a chance to get a certificate by the end of the year, but it is just one a week. So, we can't have all the children all at once, but they will get one for their good work or good behaviour at some point.
Oops, forgot to unmute myself. Moving on to communication, we have a year group Padlet. So Padlet is anything that is year 4 related. So it might be about spellings, it might be homework, year 4 specific information. D6 is more of whole school information. So it's usually when you have whole school events or reminders. Email, you all have your teachers' email addresses, and we're happy to use emails at any time. And we will get back to you as soon as possible, no problem. But we're also happy, maybe obviously not face-to-face at the moment, but to receive any phone calls, or if you want us to give you a call at a certain time, just drop us an email and let us know, and we'll be happy to do that to discuss anything. The Instagram is a year 4 only Instagram. It is a private account that you'll have to request to follow, and we post pictures throughout the year on the Instagram of the children and what they're getting up to in the classrooms. The Facebook is more of a whole school thing again, so that will have all the year groups from primary and secondary on our Facebook. And for any child information, school reports, attendance and fee payments and stuff like that, you should be able to find out on the GEMS Connect app, which I'm sure everybody is already very familiar with. The Padlet, access to Padlet, if you haven't already got it, is a QR code, which you can see on the right-hand side here. We will be sending home this PDF presentation afterwards, so you will have all access to all of this information, so you'll have that.
With the Instagram there, I just wanted to say, if you do request a follow, could you also send us a message to the account as well, so we can verify who you are? Just say who your child is. That'd be great. Thank you.
It's a good idea, Mr. Parkinson.
Okay, so we will be asking you for photo permission for your child. If you do permit them to us to take photographs, then I think there was a form sent out to you via email. So photographs that are taken throughout the school day or throughout the school year will be used to be celebrated on displays, social media, newsletters, things like that. Also, they might be shared on Instagram. So as we mentioned before, email your teacher your Instagram username after requesting to follow our account. And if you don't want your child to be photographed in school, they will not be included in these photographs, so don't worry about that. Okay.
I think I've just done the same thing as Miss Summerfield, where I started talking with my microphone off, so it's not the only one. So home learning, we're going to be looking at obviously the home learning, and what we wanted to do is maintain a degree of consistency from year 3. So for this week, we're not looking at home learning, but from next week, they will be sending out, and it will be posted on the Padlet that Miss Summerfield talked about before, but we'll be sending out this home learning menu. So again, the style will be the same as before, but we'll have a separate homework tasks for English, Math, Science and Connected, as well as some of our Academy learner profiles as well. There will be weekly spellings. So again, this is all starting at the beginning of next week. These will be put on the Padlet. I think Miss Lynch has already put them on there. We'll be posting a whole term's worth in advance, but obviously if you look at the file names, they'll tell you when the children are going to be tested for those particular sets. We do expect a level of reading, obviously with it being a big focus here in year 4. So the expectation is that children are doing 15 minutes of reading every night, and they'll be sending their reading passports back to be signed as well. That links with our reading rockets. So I'm sure you'll remember Star Reader from before, and the children will have access to books from the library, be able to go online, take little tests once they've completed the books, and then we have a series of prizes, awards, and kind of afternoon events that are linked to the number of books they read. So again, a really nice incentive for the children. And finally, obviously, Times Table Rockstars, which I'm sure the kids have told you about, is a big push this year for Times Tables. Especially as Mr. Parkinson said earlier, it applies to a lot of our maths topics. So the children won't only just be doing this in the lessons, they'll have access to the app so that they can practice those at home as well. Okay.
Just going back to the spellings, the first spelling test will be on Thursday, so not tomorrow, next Thursday. Tomorrow we will go through the spellings with the children and our expectations. They actually have 15 spelling words for the week, but we test them only on 3. But it's because each block of words, so each set of 5 words, will all have their own rule. But we will be explaining this to the children tomorrow. And if you would like to, the spellings are already on Padlet for you to look at. And it tells you the date that those spellings will be tested. These are some of the apps and websites we use to support our learning. So there's Read Theory, which is comprehensions, and it allows the children to practice answering questions about a text. There's Education City, which is really good for English, Maths and Science, and for all the different year groups and topics in each year group. And then, as we said, we have the Times Tables Rockstars. So the Times Tables, we learn up to 12. All the children are going to be at different levels, but it is really something that we need to push because it really does support them in their maths work. There's also an app called Century, which Mr. Lucas will talk to you about. We also do use Prodigy, and there may be apps that come up throughout the year as well that we see, and we tell the children to download that they can use. If you're ever unsure, please do ask us, and we can let you know if we do recommend the app, or if we have asked the children to download it, because sometimes they might tell you something's educational, we've told you to download it and we haven't. But at the moment, these are the ones that we are using.
Yeah, just a little note on Century. So it's something we'll be sending home the usernames and passwords. This goes for, I'll talk about this in BYOD in a bit, but we'll be sending home with their reading passports. They'll have all their passwords and usernames for these. Century is an online platform that we've invested in, which is just, I really can't talk highly enough of it, because it adapts itself to the children's learning, goes through our individual topics, goes through science, maths, and all the objectives in the national curriculum, And depending on how your children perform as they go through the program, it changes the direction and the learning path. So it's a really good piece of kit. But again, we'll give more information that will take time with the kids, and we'll actually show them how to use it properly.
Okay, so here I've put some of the topics that we usually do in year 4. So on the left-hand side, we've got Romans, mountains and rivers, Islamic civilization, and North America. We do also allow the children in the final term to choose their own topic. So previously we've done Mr. Men. What else have we done, Mr. Lucas and Miss Lynch? We've done Mr. Men, superheroes. That was a good one. So it's just really nice.
Rides.
Yeah, it's just really nice to give the children some, you know, they're leading their own learning. So it's really nice to give them a topic for them to choose themselves. But the ones that you can see here are the ones that we do, starting with North America, starting with mountains and rivers, sorry, this year.
Okay, iPads. The one thing that the kids are probably most excited about coming into year 4 is the iPads. So there's a lot to cover here. First thing we just want to make really, really clear, the iPads are in no way kind of games facilities for the kids. They have been, over the last, I'm not actually sure what's it been, 2 or 3 years, we've integrated them really solidly into the curriculum now. And they play an extra role, obviously, as you will see. Now, I saw a message from one of the parents down here talking about accessing Seesaw. If there's one thing, if we're having any issues, please just go directly to your teacher, because Seesaw is an app that we will be using every day to demonstrate the children's work, to give them feedback, and obviously you as families can link to that too. So hopefully that will all be set up, gives you guys an idea of what we're doing with these as well. Now, BYOD obviously is children bringing in their own devices, and with that comes a lot of responsibility that they potentially hadn't had before. So we start everything as we did last week with an iPad agreement. And that's just that we go through a fixed set of rules and kind of boundaries that those children have. You know, they understand that while they are there, and obviously during our current situation, they are used during perhaps lunch and break time. These are not to be used for games. We understand that there may be games and things on them because they're their personal iPads at home. However, while they're in school, they will only be allowed access to educational games such as Miss Lynch messaged earlier and said Prodigy, looking at Education City and games like that. So again, using them to an educational benefit. Now with that, as we put there, comes a degree of e-safety. This is something we cover in moral education, sorry. This is something we will then go on to cover in our enrichment sessions. So we've got a big program of e-safety in there, looking at not just how to stay safe online, but some of the more, I suppose, modern issues, things like online gaming and just making sure that they're safe. So that's something we really cover in great detail. Now, the third point is quite important, especially with how our Arabic and Islamic sessions are set up at the moment. The children will require headphones or a pair of headphones. Now, again, we jump in for this one to say that any headphone will do. So if your child comes home and tells you they need some AirPod Pros or some really the most expensive thing on Amazon, we promise you that is not come from us, just headphones that work. Equally on that note, there may be times this year when we ask you to download extra apps. Again, we're still learning with the iPad, so we tend to bring in new apps that we hadn't used before. We will never ask you to pay for apps as well. So if we've asked to go for something specific for a lesson or for a homework task and that you find yourself being charged, that's incorrect, okay? So just again, contact us directly if you have any issues with those. I'm sure we can clear that up. So I've talked about Seesaw. Part of the rules are obviously responsible use. The children will have access to things such as AirDrop. So we talk to them about what's appropriate and what's not in the classroom. And using iMessenger is banned. When they get up to the older ages, obviously they're not allowed to have mobile phones in school. The same applies to having their iPads here. Okay, so the time on iPads is limited during the day. They are not used for every lesson. However, at the moment, they are being used to record and to log all of their work and feedback. So another thing that's really, really important is that those iPads are arriving to school at 100% charge every day, because they will, like I said, they're getting, especially at the moment during the restrictions, they are getting a lot more use. We'll be sending out a document. We've already spoken to you, a lot of you, about recommended apps, and the majority of them, have been installed. If there's anything you recommend or anything you've seen before that you think we could use, please drop us a line. Again, we're really open to that. iPads are always something we have the most questions about. So I've got the chat box here. So while the others talking, I'm more than happy to go through. If you have any questions about iPads, just throw it in the chat and I'll try and answer them as we go along. All right.
The final thing, just before we finish, is just to say that we do need you. We need to work together to get the best possible outcome for the children. And working alongside you will only make that easier for us to do that. If you do have any questions, any concerns or anything at any time, please just give us a call or an email and we'll be happy to help you. And just keeping in regular contact really, so that we can give you any information that we think we need to pass along. I'm not 100% sure on how the parent the parent meetings are going to happen this year, so I presume it'll be also on Zoom. Is Mr. Cooper and Mr. Waterworth still on here? They'll be able to tell us roughly when that will be, and that will be our first meeting where you'll get to meet us on a one-to-one and just to go over your child's progress and see how they're getting on so far up to now. Mr. Waterworth, are you still on here?
Still here, yeah. Yeah, the meetings will have to be taking place virtually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're correct.
So do we have any more questions that you didn't manage to ask in the chat box?
Can I just say thank you very much for the Year 4 team for presenting this evening. It's great to hear about the ins and outs of Year 4 and what's going to happen this year. It all sounds very exciting. But yeah, as Mrs. Summerfield just said, if you have got any questions, if you just post them in the group chat, and one of the Year 4 team, I'm sure, will unmute themselves and be able to answer the questions. So if you have got any questions that you'd like to ask before leaving, please put them in the chat. We're more than happy to stay for the next 5 minutes just to answer any questions that you have.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining with us. Okay, so the home learning, usually before it was this, all this different situation, we would say that the children should do their homework every other week on their iPad. But given the current circumstances, homework is going to be uploaded onto Seesaw, and there'll be a specific folder which will say homework, so the child can just upload their work and pop it into the homework folder so that we can mark it.
Just on that as well on Seesaw, not all working class will be uploaded to Seesaw, but now and again we will do work on Seesaw. If that is to happen in school, then can we please not go home and then edit that work at home? Because I've had for an example, a child that we did an assessment, they've gone home and they've edited at home. So please, any worker that's in school, yes, have a look at it. The child would love to show you and show it off, but please don't edit it at home.
You're welcome. Any more questions?
We're getting a lot of thank yous here, guys, if you can't see the chat.
Yeah, the children can respond. I think it's Rasha. Yeah, the children can respond to their feedback on Seesaw. We just ask they don't edit the work. That's all.
And they're going to have time in school to respond to feedback as well. So, yeah.
Yes, and if they are too sick to come to school, they can attend online that day. If they're feeling well enough and they have the energy to do that, of course they can.
It's all peaceful. This is nice, isn't it?
Has anybody else got any more questions? Obviously, this is what I always do anyway. I don't have any questions, then I go away and think, oh, I wish I'd asked that question. You are welcome to email your class teacher at any point with any questions that you do happen to think of after this session?
I was just thinking the exact same thing. I think
Great
what we'll
minds.
do is we'll leave it there for now. And as Mr. Summerfield just said, if you do have any questions that spring to mind later on this evening, tomorrow morning, the next day, whenever, you can always ask your class teachers, and they will respond as soon as they can. So again, thank you very much, Year 4 team, for your time, and parents, thank you very much for your time and for engaging in the session. Year 4 team, do you want to say anything before we leave?
Here's to a great year.
Yeah, they've done really well so far, so let's hope it continues.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a good
you.
evening.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Speak soon.
See you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.